All right. Hello, guys. Welcome to this webinar. We have our special guest, Jacob Topping. He's going to talk about some of the things that you guys are excited about, like Amazon merch. A lot of you have had questions about that. So I don't know, Jacob, do you want to start off with a little bio or any information that you think we should know and then hop into the questions? Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure. I love to get live questions from people to answer whatever people's questions are. For myself, I'm part of the Merch by Amazon program, which is an invitation program. You apply for an invitation, and then once you're accepted, you get into there, and there's tiers that you can upload designs through. So a new member would start in at 10 designs, and then that would go up from 10 to 25 to 100 to 500. To 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, and then 10,000 plus. That's where huge volume happens at the 10,000 plus level. So I'm also on a number of other platforms. So I wrote down some of the platforms that I'm on here on a board, so you guys can see them here. Currently I'm on 14 different print-on-demand platforms. Merch by Amazon is one of them, and I've got access to Amazon through multiple channels. So not only through Merch by Amazon, but also directly on Seller Central through Amazon. And there's a way to do that by hooking up external pods straight into Amazon. There's actually multiple ways to do that. To give you a bit of background about myself, so I'm married, I've got 3 kids, I live in Canada. I live about an hour west of the capital city, Ottawa, along the Ottawa River. So when I look out my front door, I can see both Ontario, the river, and then on the other side of the river is the province of Quebec. So I can see 2 provinces from my front door, which is kind of neat. In terms of other bio things, I wrote a book called Merch in the World of Print on Demand. Sam and I have talked about that briefly. And also, I think he's got access to the book through the platform it's on Gumroad. So you guys can mention that later if you'd like.
Sure.
Any specific questions that you want to know about in terms of a bio? I met Sam, and I believe I met Melissa as well at the ACE conference.
Yes, at the conference.
Yeah, and that was about 2.5 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was delighted again to see Sam Cohen at the Scan Power conference this week. So we kind of arrived on Sunday, and then the conference was Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday night I was in New York City, and I was back to Canada on Wednesday. So it's been a busy week, and it's part of these stops are part of the Merch Madness tour that I'm on. So I've been to almost 40 cities.
Wow.
I think 16 to 18 states and 3 provinces, and it's continuing to go along. So it's kind of an exciting tour where I get to meet people that are selling on Merch by Amazon and also other print-on-demand platforms. So if people have any questions about any of the different platforms, I'm happy to go through them with you guys. They have a lot of unique, I call them superpowers, just things that are unique to each platform. So specifically, if you guys have any questions or anything along the way, or if the audience has questions, I'd love to dive into the details, and it could be as broad as you like or specific if you want. I typically do webinars throughout the week. So I have a weekly webinar show that happens every Wednesday at 8. And we talk about one individual print-on-demand platform every single week. And then I'm also featured quite often on YouTube. So if you ever want to see any of those recorded shows, you can always just Google me. Just Google the word merch, M-E-R-C-H, and then press the space bar. And Google will probably auto-suggest my name right after merch. But if it doesn't, just type in Jacob Topping. And you'll see, I don't know, like 30 or 40 hours of live recorded video.
Yeah, if anyone in the chat has any questions. Sorry.
So just a couple of questions, because we have people that are interested in merch.
Yeah, sure.
How would they go about getting into merch?
Good question. Okay, so before we even get into that, let's explain most people that are listening probably already know what print on demand is or what Merch by Amazon is, but there may be some people listening that this is new to. So before I get into the details on how to set up for Merch by Amazon, we can take a step back and just explain what on-demand manufacturing is, or what Merch by Amazon works, or how it works. So print on demand is the process where you have access to an audience through a platform. In this case, for Merch by Amazon, the platform is Amazon.com. Most people have heard of Amazon.com, I would assume, on the call. hopefully. So in this case with Merch by Amazon, what happens is you submit a design to Merch by Amazon, and then they create a listing on Amazon.com for apparel. And at the moment, Merch by Amazon has shirts, t-shirts are the items that they have. They have two different kinds of t-shirts. So they have an Anvil t-shirt, meaning the base shirt is made by Anvil. And then they also have a Bella and Canvas t-shirt. And to a lesser extent, they have leftovers from American Apparel, although it's gone bankrupt now, so they're kind of running out of those. So you've got a premium option and you have a regular option. And what happens is when you submit your design to Amazon.com through Merch by Amazon, you select up to 5 colors that you want your shirt design to be printed onto. And then you also set the price, and you can set a title for your listing as well as a description. And there's a few fields there for different ways to describe both the shirt itself and then just a general description area. From there, you submit the design into their platform. It goes through an approval process, and once it's approved, it's live on Amazon.com. And that approval process, once you're into the program, I mean, sometimes it's a matter of minutes. It can be hours or days sometimes, but typically you're going to be seeing your design go live within an hour or two once you're in the program. So that's kind of how it works. And then once it's on Amazon.com, you know, when somebody goes to shop on Amazon.com, they're going to see your shirt as a regular listing. It has an ASIN. And with Merch by Amazon, Amazon is a seller of record. Okay, so Amazon is making the sale, it's their sale, and they're going to pay you a royalty every time somebody buys your shirt. So the royalties vary depending on the price, depending on the listing. But just to give you an example of the kind of money we're talking about, let's say you did a shirt on Merch by Amazon and the cost of the shirt was $19.99, so $20 roughly. You're going to get a royalty check of about $7.86. So $7.86. If you do the math on that, on a $19.99 shirt, that works out to 38.4%. Now, the beautiful thing about Merch by Amazon, the thing that I really appreciate, and I think a lot of sellers really like, is that percentage is just a percentage of the revenue that was generated when that shirt sold. The inventory cost on a Merch by Amazon shirt, assuming you did it yourself, is $0. There's no inventory cost. So if you upload one shirt, the cost to have that shirt up there, it's $0. And when it sells, you get paid every time it sells. Also, it's a digital product, so you never run out. Meaning, let's say somebody buys your shirt, it's still available for sale. Another person can buy it, the same person can buy it again, they can tell their friends they can buy it, and you don't have to restock it. So there's no ongoing inventory cost. It's not tying up your capital.
So I have a quick question about that, actually.
Sure.
So when you sign up for a specific design that you create and then push it through, it's not a specific quantity you create. They just have it forever at that point.
It's a good question. So I'll answer that question when we go into how you get into the program and how it submits. But to answer your question very directly, once you've submitted a design, it's available for sale, and it remains available for sale for up to 90 days if there's no sales. As soon as you like a single sale, days, so 90 days,
sure,
then it remains up indefinitely at this point until they change the program. So if you get a sale within a 3-month period or 90 days, then that design will remain up. If you do not make any sales on one of the designs you've submitted within 3 months, which is quite a long time, then what happens is it's automatically removed, and that frees up additional slots that you can upload other designs on. It also works as a good way to keep the system clean and to take out shirts that aren't selling. Mm-hmm. And so they implemented that a while ago. When it first was implemented, it was a 60-day period, and now it's a 90-day period. So as long as you make a sale within the first 90 days, then your shirt remains up there forever. Wow. So let's go back to the original question that Melissa asked, is how do you apply for Merch by Amazon? So what you would do is it's an invitation-only program. And I think Amazon has other invitation programs. But what happens is you go to the website, and the URL is merch.amazon.com. So I'll put it in the comments here so people go to merch.amazon.com. Right, so you go to merch.amazon.com, and there you can request an invitation. To request an invitation, they're going to ask you for some basic information for what you want your account to be, what do you want your password to be, whether or not you have a website. Now, from what I've heard, they tend to favor people who do have a website. So if you have a website, put it in there. If you don't, but let's say you're selling on another platform, right? Like another print-on-demand platform, go ahead and put the URL to one of your shirts there as well. That proves that you're online. You have some experience putting shirts online. So that's something that somebody could do to potentially just add to the information that you're applying for when you apply. And then what happens with the process is once you've applied for merch.amazon.com, there's typically a waiting period. It's not an instant approval. And that time period changes over time. So there's been some points in the past when that was up to 6 months or longer for a waiting period. And I think I've heard of people getting in as low as 10 days. So the time period is not fixed. It's not consistent either. So it does go up and down. Typically, a lot of people would say it's going to take about 3 to 6 months. And if you get in earlier than that, then that's great. And if it takes longer than that, then, you know, it may not feel that great, but it's good too because you got in. So that's how you get into the program. Now, a tip for people that have applied, you can apply more than once. You don't necessarily need to, but you can. So some people will apply often, like every day kind of thing. But what I recommend is once you've done your application, you're clear about your application to merch.amazon.com, I would recommend that you go and check to see if you've been approved about once a week. Checking every day is probably going to take up more time than it needs to. And waiting more than a week, you run the risk of it just kind of sitting there idle once you've been approved. The reason for this is, at the moment, for the most part, they are sending an email confirmation, but sometimes they don't. And so there's lots of people that have reported not receiving a confirmation that they're accepted into the program. And if you get into the program and you don't do anything with it for a certain period of time, that period of time is generally unknown, then you run the risk of being booted out of the program again. So it's good to check to see if you've been in, if you've applied to get in. And I recommend once a week, but you can do it whenever you want. So that's how you get into Merch by Amazon. And if you compare that to some of the other pods, so there's many different print-on-demand platforms, Merch by Amazon being one of them. Most of the other print-on-demand platforms do not have either an application for approval. You just fill out an account and you get one instantly. There's a few of them that do have an approval process. For example, earlier this week, I was doing a webinar about FanPrint, and FanPrint actually does have an approval process as well. So you do make an application, and then typically you're accepted within 24 to 48 hours. So it's usually about 1 to 2 days. But that's a little bit different than Amazon, where it can be, 10 days, 15 days, 3 to 6 months, maybe longer than 6 months, and it's kind of random. So, yeah.
Okay, so we have a few questions right now.
Okay.
The first question we have here is, are we able to do any back-end keyword optimization?
Yeah.
So in terms of keyword optimization, there are certain fields that people have been testing this for a while since it's come out. And of course, Amazon's always subject to change, so it may change in the future. But as far as we can tell at the moment, there's several fields that you fill in when you're creating a Merch by Amazon listing. One of them is the brand name, and that can be different for every shirt that you have, or it can be the same, and different people have different strategies, whether they want a brand to be built altogether or not. The other fields, like the title, also is going to be giving you good SEO or SMO, I guess, on the search within Amazon. And then the first and second description field, they'll also be picked up by Amazon for search keywords. Now, the big box at the bottom, where the large box for description, it's not picked up by Amazon.com as far as we can tell from testing it. However, because it's part of the listing, if you were to look on organic search, so let's say from a search engine like Yahoo or Bing or Google, everybody's favorite Google, they will pick up everything on the listing, and that will include the bottom description. So if you wanted to put in some keyword optimization by inserting words that were associated with your design, there is some benefit to putting it in all the fields. That being said, there's a lot of philosophies on what's the best way to do it. So you do a bunch of words. Keyword stuffing, in quotes I put that, is against the terms of service for Merch by Amazon. So I would not recommend that you try and stuff in keywords or put things that are trying to gain you extra traffic. And when you look at the actual results from searches on Amazon.com, if you tend to put in more descriptions than is needed, for whatever reason, the algorithm tends to notice that, right? So it does look for specifically words that are used to describe the design or for people that would be associated with buying the design. And you know, like any of the other listings on Amazon.com, they have an algorithm. It does change from time to time. There's no special secrets necessarily that I've heard there. I know of some sellers that actually leave the description, the 2 lines for the description at the top blank. They just use the brand name. They'll use some keywords there, and then the title, they'll put keywords into that as well. So some people leave it blank. Some people put in full sentences. Some people put in like a few different words that describe the shirt. People do it different ways. So I don't know if there's a best answer for that, but definitely sellers do it in different ways. I saw a question up in the chat. Somebody asked where you would go to check if you've been accepted into the program. So when you go to merch.amazon.com, you're going to just try and log in. And you try and log in using the login and password that you created when you applied. And that's how you would know if you're in or not. If you can get in, you're in. If you can't, you're not in yet.
We have a question here also. Who is the biggest earner you have met?
So I've talked to people that are on Merch by Amazon that have earned around $100,000 in a 1 month time period. Wow. And that's through Merch by Amazon. And I think that also includes 1 or 2 other print on demand platforms that they're on at the same time. So there's a person, Daniel Codil, who in Q4 of 2016 was getting to or potentially passing $100,000 in merch sales. So in terms of earning potential, that's the highest that I've seen. I know there's a number of sellers that are selling thousands per week. I'm not too sure if there's many that are selling thousands per day. But there's certainly potential to have a lot of sales. What I find, generally speaking, is the people that have the most sales are the people that have the most listings, right? So if you've got 1,200 or 1,500 or 3,000 or 10,000 designs up on the platform, the probability that you're going to earn more goes up exponentially, right? Because you've got more designs available, more people looking for more designs, and then more people buy your designs, so you make more money. There's also sort of a distinction between how much your gross top line revenue is versus how much you're actually getting in the royalties, right? Because it's one thing to sell a lot of shirts, and you might sell a shirt and price it at $11 or $10.99. You can do that if you like, and you'll sell lots of shirts, but you're not necessarily making a lot of money profit or through your royalties. I've talked to other sellers that tend to price a bit higher, and I've seen people pricing them up around $24.99, $26.99, all the way up to $30. And they are making sales, and they're making huge profit per sale. In terms of where to price the shirt, it really depends on the preference of the seller. It also depends on the type of audience that you're targeting. And it also probably to a less, depending on how you do it, whether or not you're marketing to your designs or not. So some people, they'll just load lots of designs and let Amazon, the power of the Amazon ecosystem, just bring them traffic magically. And it does work because there's so many people using Amazon.com. But there's other sellers that will put up designs and then they'll drive traffic to their own designs. And as you guys probably know from the ASINs or from the bestseller ranks on Amazon, the more it sells, the more exposure it gets. And of course, the more exposure it gets, it tends to sell more. So some sellers will go on and market heavily to their own listings on Merch by Amazon. And some sellers will just do it organically. They'll let the sales roll in. And in terms of where you can market it from anywhere you can market things, right? If you want to put like a lawn sign on your front lawn that has your ASIN number on it or URL, you can do that. But a lot of people have success using Facebook for marketing because they can target people and they can retarget people who buy. Some people use Pinterest. Some people use Instagram. So Instagram can be used for marketing these. Some people are using YouTube, so they do videos featuring the shirts, which is kind of interesting. There's brands that will use Merch by Amazon to promote their brand, or they'll actually create a merch store on a website, like something like Shopify, and then drive traffic to those designs. So there's multiple ways that you can do it, just like any other listing on Amazon.com, whether it's FBA or Merchant Fulfilled or any of the different ways that you can sell on Amazon. There's multiple ways to drive traffic to them. So what I like to say is if you put up designs, the more designs you have, the higher the probability you're going to get found, especially if you're keywording them properly. And then if you decide to market, it's kind of like putting gas on the fire. The fire can be good and hot. You put gas on the fire and you get more flame, you get more heat, it burns faster, right?
Absolutely.
But it's not without risk, because you could put in marketing dollars and maybe you're not going to get a return on it. So you kind of, I'm not going to say that everybody should be marketing their designs. If you're not getting good results, you can lose money marketing too. So there's risk with it, just like anything in business.
Melissa, do you have any other questions before?
Yes. So you talked about you submit your design and then it gets reviewed.
Yeah.
So when you're submitting designs, do you need to be aware of like brands and things like that? Is that something that Amazon is policing through merch?
Yeah, so Merch by Amazon, of all the different platforms that are out there, I would say it's probably the most aggressive for protecting trademarks and IP. The reason for that is when you submit a design through Merch by Amazon, Amazon.com is the seller of record. So it's their name that they're putting in the line. They're the ones that would get sued if somebody wanted to sue somebody for the IP infringement. So they're very particular about the things that you put on. So of course, under their own terms of service, there's certain things that you can't put on. So you don't want to put on any kind of swearing. You're not going to put any kind of nudity. You're not going to put any kind of controversial things, right? So in terms of alcohol, I think they allow beer, they allow wine, but they don't allow other types of alcohol even. I mean, it's quite conservative. There are phrases and keywords that are not really allowed on the platform. But probably the biggest thing that you're going to find if you're uploading designs, you want to make sure that any of the words that are in your title or in your description or even in your brand, make sure that none of that is trademarked unless you have access to the trademark. So if you have trademark rights to put something up, then you can do it. They might get rejected, and then you've got to prove that you have the trademark access. But if you put something up and it's trademarked and you don't have the rights to be promoting that or to be putting it up on Amazon.com or to sell it, it's going to get taken down. It probably wouldn't even go up. And sometimes what happens is you put up a design, it'll become trademarked afterwards, and then it'll get rejected and taken down again. So even if it gets on the first time, they can also take it down. So there's takedown requests that trademark owners will often use. And Amazon's very quick at making sure that they cleared out all the IP violations. And I think they're getting even better at that, right? Because the more sellers they have, the more volume they have, they've got processes in place to make sure that you're not putting up any IP that you don't have the rights to use. So as a seller, when you upload something, like let's say if I want to put up a design, quite often I'll look at my brand name. For myself, I use different brand names for different groups of shirts. So I'll put in, let's say, 5 different shirts that have to do with a niche, like let's say fishing or snowmobiling or something like that. And then I'll group them together under one brand. And then I'll have a different niche that I'll put up. So let's say it's like people that are into washing machines or home appliances. I'll put up a different brand name for those guys, right? And so what you'll do is you'll check to make sure that the brand that you're using, the title that you're using, the description that you're using, whether it's describing the product or describing the listing, make sure that there's no trademark violations there. Probably the best source to look for that is the USPTO, so the US Patent and Trademarks Office. But there's also sites that make it a little bit more convenient, like Trademarkopia. And Trademarkopia allows you to type in a phrase, just hit the search bar, and it'll search through the USPTO and tell you if that phrase is trademarked, and also what type of trademark it is. So something might be trademarked for, let's say, home building products, but not for apparel and clothing. In that case, Amazon might let you on because it's not trademarked for clothing. In other cases, it's trademarked for t-shirts specifically or for clothing or apparel, and in which case, you would not want to submit that.
Can you say what website that was again?
Trademarkopia. And you want to put that in the chat as well. I mean, Trademarkopia, what I do is, I do a lot of my stuff on mobile. So I'll actually make designs on my phone and then upload them 100% mobile upload. And what I've done is I've gone to the website Trademarkopia and made a little icon so that I can just go and look them up anytime and check the different listings.
Can you spell out the website name? It's not loading for me.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring it up. I've got multiple phones to see which one.
Yeah.
So it is trademarkia.com. Trademarkia.
Oh, okay.
I put it in I think I said Trademarkopia, so it's actually
Trademarkia.
So trademarkia.com. I put it in the
thank you.
chat there.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about any app, if you've got an iOS or Android device, you can do this on both of them, is that you can go to a website and then at the bottom, like on iOS, there's this little pop-up thing here. you can click on that, and one of the options, I don't know if you can see that, it's pretty bright.
Not really.
I was trying to describe it. You know, you have the little pop-up thing, and it has like sharing and bookmarking and all that stuff. One of the options there is to add to home screen. And if you do that on a website like Trademarkia, it'll actually create an icon right on your phone, and you'll have an icon. You just tap on it, it goes straight to the website. So that's what I use for checking the trademarks for the USPTO on trademarkia.com.
Cool. We actually have a bunch more questions in the chat now, so we'll just read them off in order they came in.
As many questions as possible. I love questions.
Yeah. One question: how do you do keyword research? I guess this is referring back to when you're speaking about the previous question 2 questions ago.
Yeah.
About the keywords.
So again, just like pricing or just like your brand or what kind of brand name to use, keyword research can be done in a lot of different ways. A lot of people will use different methods, and there's actually quite a lot of tools for it, right? So
that is the next question, actually.
Yeah, so we're going to go through a lot of tools if you want to talk tools, because I wrote a book about this, right, called Merch in the World of Print on Demand. And the book is literally a resource. It's a guide that shows you all the tools and the different communities that you can plug into with this, the different websites that you can do on-demand manufacturing for. There's a huge section on Merch by Amazon within the book, but it's 131 pages long. So there is a lot of tools. But let's get to some of the basics. So if you want to do keyword research, you would do the keyword research just like you were doing keyword research for anything else on Amazon or any other ASIN that you have. So if you're familiar with private label or white label or wholesale products or online arbitrage, even retail arbitrage, when you're creating a listing, you've got to look at keyword research. So the research that you would do for any of those types of ways you would sell on Amazon, they also work for Merch by Amazon. The difference here is that Merch by Amazon is really targeting just the t-shirts at the moment. And so you know the buying audience is going to be looking for t-shirts. So one of the things that some people ask is when you're putting t-shirt as a keyword in your listing, how do you spell it, right? Is it T-E-E space shirt? Is it capital T, capital S shirt? Is it T dash space shirt, right? There's lots of ways to do it. I think there's 6 or 7 different ways you can put t-shirt. So what I recommend is, because we know different people in different parts of the country, they type in t-shirt differently. Sometimes they use lowercase, sometimes they use uppercase, sometimes there's a space, sometimes there's a dash. Sometimes they just use the word T-E-E. Like T-chip is a whole platform. They use T-E-E chip, right? As opposed to just the letter T. So there's lots of different ways to do it. And what I try to do is, if you're going to be using a lot of the area in the description field, then go ahead and use multiple ones. So maybe in your brand name, you might want to say, you know, I love fishing teas or tea company, tea co, right? And then in your listing title, you might want to say, you know, beautiful blue t-shirt for men or women. And when you say t-shirt, you might say capital T-S-H-I-R-T, right? And then maybe in the description, you would mention that these t-shirts are perfect for people who love fishing, right? And in there, you're just going to put the capital T, capital S with no space, no dash, and then shirt, right? So that's kind of a tip for the t-shirt thing. But in terms of keywords, generally, you can also use the auto-suggest field in Amazon.com. So, you know, if you go to Amazon.com and you start typing in a search, it's going to auto-suggest based on what other people are looking for that have typed in those characters in that order. So if you're making a shirt, and let's say the shirt is for people that love to draw on quality art paper, right? So your niche is artists, right? So you might go to Amazon.com and type in art paper and see what it auto-suggests. Maybe it's going to say quality art paper or art paper canvas or art paper for charcoal or art paper for people that love adult coloring or something like that. It'll suggest whatever the phrases are. You can use that as evidence that people are looking for that, and then you can take those keywords and build them into your listing so that when people are typing in looking for the things they're already using Amazon for, your shirt has the potential to come up alongside those other things, right? So that's kind of a tip on keywords. In terms of tools, there's some really good tools out there. Probably one that's come up recently in the last week or so, a lot of people are talking about it. The tool's been out for years, but it's called Unicorn Smasher. So unicornsmasher.com. And that tool, it's been used for a long time for FBA sellers, and private label sellers use it as well. But unicornsmasher.com is kind of an interesting tool. You can use any of the Amazon tools, so like Jungle Scout, right? If you're using Jungle Scout, you may be familiar with that for regular Amazon sellers. So junglescout.com. There's tools available there. I think there's a program. There's also a Chrome plugin. There's specific keyword tools as well. So Google has a Google keyword tool, and I think it's called the Google keyword tool. There's some of the ones that I mentioned in the book. Like in the book itself, I have a list of all these different tools that you can use for keyword research. There's a great website called merchinformer.com. It's operated by a guy named Neil, and he's got a business partner as well. I just forget the name just off the top of my head right now, but it's a fantastic website. It allows you to do keyword research, so you can type in a niche or a word that you think you want to use in your listing, and it'll auto-suggest words that go well with that. And not only that, it kind of gives you a relative ranking of how much competition those words are on. So as a Merch by Amazon seller, merchinformer.com is a fantastic resource. Not only is there the tool Merch Informer good, but he's also got a blog on there which has fantastic information. So merchinformer.com, you might want to check that out. There's a keyword tool, and I apologize, it's got a weird name, so I apologize beforehand. I'm going to tell you the name, but it's weird. It's Keyword Shitter Pro. Okay, Keyword Shitter Pro. There's keywordshitter.com and there's keywordshitterpro.com. You want the pro version. The pro version allows you to search for keywords by search platform. So you can designate what country you're targeting. You can designate what search tool you're using. So whether it's Google keywords, Bing keywords, Yahoo keywords, or Amazon. They actually have an Amazon in the drop-down field. And they actually have some like things that you wouldn't necessarily think of, like Weibo. Right, so they've got Chinese search engines as well, Baidu.com. So if you want to target people in China, you can do that. Now, before you go targeting the Chinese audience on Merch by Amazon, it's important to note Merch by Amazon at the moment, it only creates listings on Amazon.com. So it doesn't create listings on Amazon.ca or .mx or .uk or DE, in Germany or Spain, France, Japan, China, Australia. It only creates listings on Amazon.com. And the listings that are created on Amazon.com at the moment, they are only deliverable within the United States. So I mentioned earlier that I live in Canada. So if I wanted to order one of my own shirts on Merch by Amazon, I can't deliver it to my house. I have to deliver it to a US address and then forward it from there to Canada or anywhere else in the world for that matter. So there are some really big benefits, like Amazon.com is gigantic and it has, hundreds of millions of people in traffic, which is fantastic. But there's also some drawbacks and some restrictions. I mean, if you apply for the program today, when you get in at the moment, you're going to be put into tier 10. That means you can upload a total of 10 listings. And you're also going to be limited on how many you can upload per day. So at the beginning, you can upload 1 per day for a maximum of 10. And then how the tier ups work is once you've made a number of sales, which equals the tier that you're in. So let's say if you're in tier 10, once you've made 10 sales, you qualify to be tiered up. And the tiering up process is not exactly uniform at the moment. So it's kind of random when you're going to get tiered up, whether you qualify or not. And Amazon also has the ability to freeze those. So for example, in Q4 last year, Amazon froze everybody from tiering up. They also actually at one point froze everybody from uploading designs. They were running out of stock. So they were literally running out of colors and running out of sizes of shirts. On the one hand, that means that's fantastic. That means people are buying so much volume they couldn't keep up with it. That's great. On the other hand, it means they weren't keeping up with it. So if you had a really popular design, let's say in men's black or in women's, double extra large or something, if they're out of the shirt, they're out of the shirt. So you can't sell any, right? So Amazon, Merch by Amazon is a newer type of platform. It's less than 2 years old at this point and is growing and changing. It's generally getting better all the time. They recently added a number of colors. So they had, I believe, 14 or 15 colors, and they added about another 7 or so. So now it's up around 21 or so. And if you compare that to other print-on-demand platforms, like, for example, TeePublic, they've got 41 colors. right? So 41 colors on TeePublic versus around 20 something on Amazon, Merch by Amazon, right? That being said, you can still list on Amazon without going through Merch by Amazon. So if you wanted to get around the fact that you're at tier 10 when you start, or if you want to start listing on Amazon.com before you get into the program, you can still do that. So you can go on to Shopify, for example, make a Shopify store and connect that store directly to Amazon, to your Seller Central account. That allows you to upload multiple listings directly into your Amazon Seller Central account. You're basically bypassing all those limits and restrictions of Amazon, Merch by Amazon. So that allows you to put in, you know, if you want to put in swear words, you could. If you want to put in other, you know, more controversial terms, you can do that. Because it's not a violation of the terms of service of Amazon on the Seller Central side, but it is a violation of the terms of service of Merch by Amazon. So there's two different terms of services, right? They have different rules. The other thing is, if you're listing your shirts through something like a Shopify connection that's directly linked into your Seller Central account, you don't have to worry about the tiers. So on Merch by Amazon, you may be in tier 10, or you may be waiting to get into the program. But if you've got a Shopify account and you've connected it to a backend print-on-demand platform, let's say Printful, just as an example, you could upload 100 shirts a day, every day, or 1,000 shirts a day, or 10,000 shirts a day. I mean, the only limit is how fast you can upload the shirts. So, I mean, you could be stuck at tier 10 through Merch by Amazon, or you could be stuck at tier infinity on, you know, through a Shopify connection. And it's not the only way to directly connect into Amazon.com. You could directly connect to Amazon.com through another print-on-demand platform called Gearbubble. I did a 2-hour webinar on this a couple weeks ago. Gearbubble allows one-click access to connect your entire Gearbubble account to Amazon.com, so all of your shirts are cross-listed to Amazon.com as well, right? So there's a lot of different print-on-demand platforms. I mentioned like more than 35 of them in the book that I wrote. That's why I called it Merch and the World of Print-on-Demand. There's a whole world of these things. And a lot of them connect to Amazon as well. So even if you're in Seller Central and you're selling designs and you have them automated on the back end to print through a print-on-demand platform, you can cross-connect that through something like Joe Lister to eBay account. Right? So you could be listed on Amazon.com and eBay.com at the same time, right? And you can cross-list them to international sites like eBay.uk or eBay.ca. So you have access to Canada and the UK. You're not restricted just by Merch by Amazon not selling outside of the US, just as an example. And most of the other products, they ship worldwide. So if you go to Redbubble or Zazzle or Cafe Press or Spreadshirt or any of the other, you know, big print-on-demand platforms, they all ship worldwide. But Merch by Amazon does not at the moment.
We have a few other questions here.
Sure.
Let's see. How long do you leave a design up without a sale before you replace it with another design? I think you covered that earlier, but maybe this person joined in afterward.
Sure. So if you upload a design and it has no sales, they allow you to have it up for 90 days, so 90 days, or 3 months. It used to be a 60 days, and then before that, there was no limit. So it used to be no limit, and then they put in a limit of 60 days, and now it's 90 days. They do change the platform quite a bit. Like I said before, it's constantly trying to improve and get better. So there are changes that happen, and that could also change in the future. Like, I mean, maybe later today, maybe they'll change the rules again. But at the moment, it's 90 days. So if you submit a design, it will stay up for 90 days with no sales. After 90 days, it will be removed automatically. You have the option, though, if it's not making sales after that period of time, as a seller, you can also replace it with another design. So if you wanted to take down a design and replace it with another one, you're welcome to do that anytime. The new design that you submit will also go through the same approval process. You can also edit your designs, right? So don't worry about something if you make a mistake at the beginning or if you want to change it up or experiment or maybe A/B test things, right? So if you wanted to put up a design at one price and then put the same design at a second price, you can do that. It just takes up 2 of your slots, right? So you can actually do A/B testing on price. You can do A/B testing on colors, right? So you have access to around 21 colors roughly, and you can only pick 5 at once. So if you want to test out a bunch of different colors, you can do that, see what sells, what doesn't sell. You can remove what's not selling, keep up what is selling. You could also A/B test your keywords, your titles, your descriptions, your brands, right? If you have, let's say, one shirt, you put it up 5 different ways, see which one sells, which one doesn't. What I like to do is, because I'm on multiple pods, I'm on like 14 different platforms, is when I do a design, I'll give them each a different keyword, different description, different title with the same design, and I'll see where the traffic is. Now with Merch by Amazon, they don't tell you how much traffic there is. They only tell you when you make a sale, because that's when they pay you the royalty. But if you sell through Seller Central, let's say through a Shopify connection, then you can actually see the traffic because it's a regular ASIN on Seller Central. So that allows you to see things like how many clicks did it have, how many views did it have, how many sales did it have. It allows you to add pay-per-click, right, the PPC. People love that. You can drive additional traffic to it. You can also drive additional traffic to Merch by Amazon listings, but it's a lot more complex and it's sort of like taking it to the next level. So I don't know the level of the people watching the show or the replay, but if you wanted to connect through Vendor Central, you can do that. There's also a service called ams.amazon.com, so Amazon Marketing Services, and you can market Merch by Amazon ASINs there as well. So that's 2 different ways that you can do it. You can also do it through Vendor Express as well. So there's Vendor Central, Vendor Express, and then the ams.amazon.com as well. But, I mean, if you're listing through, let's say, a Shopify connection into Amazon Seller Central, that gives you a 4th way. Now you can do it through pay-per-click, right? Plus you can drive traffic through your Shopify store. Then you can add additional apps through Shopify that increase your SEO to Google and other search engines. You can have additional accounting as well. So you've got huge benefits. You can see the traffic, where it's coming from, where it's going to, who bought it, how many views you get. There's a lot of advantages to using platforms in addition to or supplementing your Merch by Amazon account. I would really implore people to check it out. And there's a lot of options out there. So again, like I put a lot of the resources that I'm aware of in the book, Merch by Amazon, Merch in the World of Print on Demand. So you can check that out, and it's got like hundreds of links and dozens of videos that connect and help to teach people about the whole world of print on demand, right? So I don't know, I think I answered your question there, right?
Yeah, I think so. Next question we have is, which paid promotional vehicles have you used, and what are your thoughts on paid promotion? I think you kind of covered that a little bit. And also, what tier level are you at now as well?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So when I joined Merch by Amazon, I joined, at that time, there was no tier 10. It didn't exist. And if you go back further, there was a time when there was no tiers. But when I joined Merch by Amazon in late September 2016, at that time I was put into tier 25. And if I could make 25 sales, then you would tier up to the next tier, which would be tier 100. So within less than 3 weeks after I joined, they froze all the tier ups. So I had more than 25 sales right off the bat, like within the first month. But I wasn't able to tier up at all until March of 2017, when they unfroze the tiering up process across the board for sellers. So at that point, I tiered up from 25 to 100. And then because it was unfrozen, I immediately tiered up from 100 to 500 because I had already crossed 100 sales. And I did that back in, I think, like November or December range. And now I'm just waiting to get tiered up to the 1,000 level tier. So I'm in 500 tier at the moment. In the 500 tier that I'm at, I'm allowed to upload 10 designs per day. So they do restrict how many you can upload every day. And so that's part of the reason why I started joining the other pods, is because, you know, through December, January, February, and into March, I was frozen at 25 and I had more than 25 designs. So I literally couldn't put any more on Merch by Amazon. I was taking them down to put more up, right? And so what I did was I started opening up more accounts with different print-on-demand platforms and started uncovering all this amazing products and amazing services and platforms that I hadn't ever heard of, right? And so when I was writing those down, and I was giving coaching as well, so I do paid coaching at that time, and I still offer it on how to improve your sales on different platforms. And then to answer the other part of the question, myself, I have done the pay-per-click. Vendor Central and AMS require you to have a U.S. domiciled bank in order to connect with them. So I just opened one up in New York when I was there about 3 weeks ago. So I just opened that up, and then I haven't made that connection yet because I've been on the road a lot. I went to the Scan Power conference, and then I was doing a road tour afterwards. And beforehand, I was on a multi-state, multi-province tour talking about the book. So those are on my list of things to do. I know about them. I know that they're there. I know that they work. I've seen other people have great success on them. I recommend that your viewers sign up for them right away, especially if you have a U.S. domicile bank account. For me, that took a little bit extra effort because I'm in a different country. So I had to come and sign paperwork and stuff in the U.S. and set up a U.S. domiciled account. So now I've got a U.S. address, I've got a U.S. domiciled bank account, I've got a Canadian account, and then I've got other accounts, which is not relevant to the call.
What?
Hopefully that answered the question.
Yes. So the next one we have, Mike wants to know, but how will I produce the shirt?
Oh, Mike, that's a good question. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make the shirts. One way is to make your own designs. So if you have a software on your computer, let's say Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, those are probably the biggest ones in terms of the industry standards for making artwork, is Photoshop and Illustrator, both by the company Adobe. There are also free platforms that you can use to make designs. So if you wanted to use something like Photoshop, there's a free version, a different company, obviously. It's called GIMP. It's G-I-M-P, and it's no cost. So you can go and make designs and edit your photos there. If you wanted to do something like Adobe Illustrator with vector graphics, there is a program, what is the name of it? Inkscape. So Inkscape is the free, sort of similar version. It's a vector editor program, just like Adobe Illustrator. It's called Inkscape. And if you wanted to kind of go in and the in-between, where it doesn't quite cost you a monthly fee like the Adobe series of products, the Creative Suite, Adobe, whether you're using Photoshop or Illustrator, they're all in monthly plans right now, so you have to pay every month. If you wanted to just pay a one-time fee, there's another company called Affinity. So there's Affinity Photo, which is like your Photoshop, and there's Affinity Design. Affinity Design is like Adobe Illustrator. So one way to get the designs, Mike, is you can make your own designs. You can also use your mobile phone, okay? So these are like little supercomputers in the palm of your hand. So you can have like an Apple iPhone. You can have your other Apple iPhone. You can have, an Android phone. No, I've got 3 phones, but I'm just at the desk.
Okay.
But you can make them on your tablets, right? So if you have an iPad or if you have a Galaxy tablet or an Asus tablet, whether it's Android or iOS, whatever you're using, certainly all of the major platforms, even BlackBerry or Windows Phone, they have programs that you can use to make artwork. So one of the probably most popular ones, the one that I like to use often, and I'll use it in combination with other programs on my phone to make designs, is an app called Over. So O-V-E-R. You can download it for iOS and on Android. I will disclose that the iOS version is legitimately better than the Android version for that particular program, for the program Over. So you can get it on both platforms, but it's meaningfully different between the two platforms. And the iOS one is kind of years ahead of the Android one at the moment. I'm sure they're working on improving that. There's other programs that I like to use. Assembly is a good program. You can use, it'll save as .png files. But just look.
And he wants to clarify that up, Jacob. He meant to get them produced if you use Shopify to Seller Central Connection. Yeah.
So no matter where you're putting them, whether you're using Shopify or whether you're using the Merch by Amazon, a lot of people prefer not to make their own designs because they want to scale. They want to make more designs than they can do themselves, or maybe art is not their strong point, so they want to outsource that. There's lots of services to do that, and I list a whole pile of them in the book. There are virtual assistants that will do designs for you. You can get a virtual assistant to do keywording research for you. You can get a virtual assistant to do uploads for you. So if you wanted to outsource your entire business, there's a whole chapter in the book. And it's chapter 7. It's about how to outsource your entire business of on-demand manufacturing at every single level. But there are specific design services as well. So merchcandy.com, which is now I think merchcandy.io, They offer a subscription service where you pay a monthly fee to have access to a club, and then you can upload designs over time. Grab designs when you want them for $10 per design. There's also $8 designs, which is run by another Canadian guy, and you can grab designs for $8. Just download when you have them. There are other design services like Design Pickle. So Design Pickle allows you to get unlimited designs made for your account. They usually take 2 requests per day, and then they can generate multiple designs per request. Brandstrong, so I think it's brandstrong.com. They offer something like Design Pickle at different price points. So they have multiple price points. Design Pickle just has a single price point. I think it's $370 per month. It gives you unlimited design. You can sign up for a year and get a discount. You can go to other places as well with links that have access to those different services. You could also get, if you didn't want to hire a virtual assistant yourself, there's also virtual assistant services like VA Rentals is a popular one that's run by Bob Steele and his group. There's also multiple VA services. Just off the top of my head, I can't think of the other ones, but they're listed in the book. So in the book, I have not only a chapter on how to outsource everything, but also there's a part of a chapter on design about how to outsource your design and how to make your own design. One of the things that's interesting is the size for merch.amazon.com designs is very fixed. So the dimensions are going to be 4,500 wide by 5,400 tall. So 4,500 times 5,400. And then ideally at 300 DPI and less than 25 megabytes. And as a .png file type with a transparent background. So it's very specific for Merch by Amazon. And almost all of the other platforms will accept that file type. Although the other file platforms also accept other dimensions and other file types as well. So just like a lot of the other things with print on demand, most of the other platforms outside of Amazon are much more flexible. So you can have different file types, different sizes, higher resolutions, bigger file sizes, worldwide delivery, faster shipping, integration across platforms, integration against, into Google Analytics. You can have integrated into Facebook Pixel. If you want to do marketing and retracking, you can see how many people are viewing your designs, how many people click on your ads on other platforms, but not on Merch by Amazon. I mean, there's a huge gap in capabilities at the moment between Merch by Amazon and these other print-on-demand platforms. And I hope that Amazon fills that gap as quick as possible because they have the reach and they have the volume, they have the traffic, they have that brand trust, right? They've got the Prime program. These are all very good things. There's still a huge gap between the capabilities of what Amazon can provide, what the other pods can provide. I'm hoping that is reduced as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, you can do both. You can do Merch by Amazon and like 50 other pods.
So Mike wants to narrow that question down even more.
Yeah, sure.
Where did it go? He meant to get them printed, not designed. If he's
so
not
if you wanted to make your own, so when he means make, he's not talking about making the design, like creating the design.
It's like producing the extra shirt.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So if you want to get your own shirts made, let's say you have a retail store or you want to stock another location or you want to clothe yourself or your family members, you've got kids or a husband or wife or your family or give gifts and that kind of thing, you can always send them a link and they can order it through Merch by Amazon if they live in the US. If they don't live in the US, you're kind of screwed. But if you want to get your own shirts made, you can adjust the price. And when you create a listing, you have the ability to do a private listing or a public listing. If you do a private listing, you can still set the price. You can make it $10.96, right? Or whatever the lowest Merch by Amazon shirt price is right now. They just recently had to change, so it might have actually changed just recently. But it was $10.96. And then you can order your own shirts, right? If you want to make that available to the public, maybe to drive extra sales, potentially at a super low price, you can upload them at the low price and you can order them that way. If you want to save money, I would recommend using a different pod. Something like Gear Bubble, for example, you can lower the price instead of $10.96 through Merch by Amazon. You can go all the way down to $5.95. You could order a shirt for less than $6 delivered. right? So there are lots of different options on the pods. I should also mention the other print-on-demand platforms. In addition to T-shirts, they have a lot more apparel. So they have T-shirts, V-neck shirts, racerback shirts, tank tops, hoodies, leggings, hats, socks, underwear, all kinds of apparel, jackets, right? They also have things that are not apparel, right? So these other pods, unlike Merch by Amazon, they have additional things you can order. So if you want to do a cutting board, if you wanted to do a skateboard, you wanted to do pillows for your living room, or a duvet cover for your bed, or a shower curtain, or other products. These other products are available with your custom designs on them across these other platforms. And a lot of these other platforms integrate into Amazon. So if you wanted to sell these other products, think of it like a private label opportunity with kind of like an automated drop shipping thing. You hook up, let's say, Printful to Shopify, and then Shopify to your Amazon account. And now you could do socks, you could do leggings, you could do hoodies, you can do all these things that Printful prints. And it's listed on Amazon.com, just like Merch by Amazon is, except the difference is you have more products, right? You have different shipping times. You have fully automated workflow. So somebody goes and buys something on Amazon.com, and that order gets fulfilled through to Shopify. Shopify sends it through to Printful, and Printful ships it to your client. And then you get paid on that through Amazon, and you use that money to cover the cost of making the product on Printful. But it's fully super automated, right? So you don't have to like answer emails or like check your thing or see what's happening or ship something. It just happens. And I should also mention it's through merchant fulfilled. So when you do that Shopify to Printful Amazon connection, the order goes from Amazon to Shopify to Printful. And then once Printful prints it, they send the confirmation back through to Shopify, which sends it back to Amazon. So it's kind of seamless in both directions. So you don't have to worry about keeping track of whether it's shipped or not. Something you might have to do if you're manually shipping it out.
That was actually a question that someone asked.
Okay, good.
So excellent.
Good. What other questions have we got?
I think we got two more questions, and we should probably wrap things up because we're close to an hour since we started the actual topics.
Sure, no problem.
First question will be where do you get your inspiration for t-shirt designs? And the next question, isn't drop shipping potentially dangerous as far as negative fulfillment feedback? If it's just fulfilled by merchant, there's no way to get it removed.
Those are two good questions. Okay, so for inspiration, I would say you can get inspired for designs just by being observant in life. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I needed to go for a walk because I'm super heavyweight and I need to reduce my weight, so I went for a walk, right? And I was walking down the path. I brought some bird seeds with me. I put it in my hand. The birds were coming and landing on my hand and eating bird seed right off the palm of my hand. And that gave me some inspiration to say, hey, people love birds. If you go to a hardware store, you go to Walmart or Target, they've got bird seed on the shelf. They got bird feeders on the shelf, right? They've got drinking things, hummingbird sap, right? They've got all kinds of different seeds for this kind of bird, seeds for that kind of bird. They've got suet. They've got dried seeds. They've got, seeds in a box, seeds loose in a bag, right? So guess who's buying all those seeds? It's not the birds, guys. It's people that like birds. So think about it. Lots of people like birds, and they'll put money into bird seed, right, to feed the birds at their birdhouse, their bird feeder. They've got like bird resort centers. I don't know if you've seen the big ones that they house like little bird feeders. There's like 10 of them in one big bird nesting area. So you just think about interests. What are people interested in? And then from that, you can create unique custom designs that might appeal to somebody. So if you think about somebody that likes birds, maybe you want to make a t-shirt with a birdhouse on it. Maybe you want to make a t-shirt with like the anatomy of a bird. Maybe you want to do a t-shirt with like the phonetic pronunciation of different bird songs, right? Like a chickadee goes chickadee-dee-dee, so you put chickadee-dee-dee on a shirt, and somebody loves chickadees might buy that shirt, right? And it's like that with any niche, not just birds, but I mean anything. If somebody likes fishing or sports or hunting, or if they like skidooing or skateboarding, maybe they like to play tennis, any kind of the sports that people like, anything that has a major league sport has a gigantic fan base. So football, basketball, hockey, tennis, surfing, cross-country skiing, any kind of sport you can think of. There's tons of niches there. There's professions, so people are concerned with the time that they spend their life doing at their jobs, right? So different people have different professions. There's doctors, there's dentists, accountants, there's guys that wash cars, people that work at the grocery store. Any kind of job that somebody has is a great niche idea. In the book, Merch in the World of Print on Demand, I include a bonus file that has over 1,000 professions in it. Okay, so when somebody's looking for an idea for a niche, there's more than 1,000 individual professions that you can kind of browse through and just grab any one of them and then make a t-shirt with it, right? There's also a list of time-based events, so holidays, right? You've all heard of like Christmas and Easter, Hanukkah, Ramadan. There's all kinds of religious holidays like that, but there's also like civic holidays, right? Like your civic holiday, Labor Day, 4th of July, Memorial Day, that kind of thing. And then there's months, right? Like there's Cancer Awareness Month, Diabetes Month, there's Black History Month. There's like all these different months that celebrate all kinds of things. So this is a good idea for merch niche designs. In the book, I give you guys more than 1,000 time-based events. So things that are based on dates, things like the solar equinox, the seasons, summer, winter, fall, that kind of thing, what the dates are for them. So that's one way you can get inspiration. You can also go, if you want to get all data heavy on it, you can go into Amazon, just look at the BSR for other merch certs. So if you go to the website, merchresearch.com, you'll get forwarded to merchinformer.com. And on merchinformer.com, there's a little bar with a green button on it. If you don't fill anything in, you hit the green button, you're going to see a bunch of Merch by Amazon designs come up. And you can actually look at the BSRs or the bestseller rank and find out which ones sell and which ones don't. And then you've got an idea of what kind of niche maybe you want to think about selling on, because there's obviously demand. People are already buying the shirts. So one thing I do is I download like over 1,000 ASINs every day. I download over 1,000 ASINs and I put them into data analytics software, data visualization software, and I look at what the different trending niches are. That's something I do. Does that mean everybody has to do that? No. I mean, it takes a lot of work and it's a lot of effort to do that, but to find inspiration for your designs, just look around, go to the mall in your local area and see what people are wearing on their shirts. Go to a thrift shop and you'll find like 200 shirts. A lot of them are graphic t-shirts. Just browse through and see what people have bought in the past. They don't get to the thrift shop until somebody buys it. And then when they're done with it, they take it to the thrift shop, right? So if you go to like the Salvation Army or you go to the Goodwill, you can see hundreds and hundreds of designs that people actually bought, right? So that was the one question. And the other question was about drop shipping. Is drop shipping potentially dangerous as far as negative fulfillment feedback, FBM? There's no way to get it removed. Okay. So if you connect your Amazon Seller Central account to an external pod through something like Shopify or directly like gearbubble.com or tlaunch.com, then be very sure to make sure your production time and your delivery time are set up correctly on Seller Central. As long as those two things are set up correctly, then generally speaking, the fulfillment is going to be pretty good. Most of these platforms are in business to deliver the products on time, and they have, stated schedules. So maybe it'll say, the shirts are made in 24 to 72 hours or 24 to 48 hours. So that's your production time. And then delivered within whatever the delivery times are. So some of them are 1 to 3 business days. Some of them are 3 to 5 days. Some of them are like up to 10 days, whatever the different delivery times are. So my recommendation is if you're going to connect an outside print-on-demand platform through Shopify or directly to Amazon, that you pay attention to what the production and delivery times are so that you don't get that negative feedback. It's much better to deliver something early and exceed the customer's expectations than it is to deliver it late and have them come on and give you a bad feedback, right? So it is buyer beware, just like if you wanted to fulfill something yourself. If you get hit by a bus and you can't fulfill the things because you're in the hospital for 6 days, you might get negative feedback. I mean, you put things in place to make sure that doesn't happen, right?
Absolutely.
So hopefully that answers that question. I saw some other questions as well come in. I don't know if you want me to answer them.
I don't know if I maybe missed them. What were the questions that we maybe missed? What questions in the chat?
Somebody asked how am I fulfilling if they're connecting to Shopify. So if you connect to Shopify and you're connecting your Shopify account to a backend pod, Then the order goes from Amazon to Shopify to the back-end pod. It's fulfilled automatically, and then the pod gives a confirmation back to Shopify. It gets confirmation back to Amazon. So it's a two-way, 100% automated process.
Got it.
And I'll put in a word of caution there. If you decide to do that, you have to have enough cash on hand to buy the shirt before you get your payout from Amazon, right? Because Amazon takes the money and they pay you maybe up to 2 weeks later, or they might skip a payment if there's an issue with your credit card or something, but you have to pay for the shirt when it gets made. So you can front load your account on Printful, for example, and then cover that with the money that comes in from Amazon. Just a word of caution, make sure that you have enough cash flow to sell like 1 million shirts. You want to have, several $1 million in hand to cover the carry costs, which can be up to 2 weeks.
All right, well, I think we all got great value out of this. I'd like to thank you for joining us today on this webinar. And Melissa also would like to thank you from herself. If she would like to put her mic back on.
Thank you.
Just waiting for you to do that. So again, we really appreciate it. Hope you had a good time doing this. We certainly learned a lot of this.
I love this. I could talk about merch all day long. If you ever want to have me back to talk about other pods, I could spend many hours talking about it. I love talking about it. I love thinking about it. I love writing about it. I've got the book, Merch in the World of Print on Demand. Not only is the book out, but I continually add to it. And so the printed version is coming out soon. It's not out yet, but once it's out, it's going to be a lot bigger. It could be up to around 200 plus pages when it comes out.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we posted the link from Gumroad in the chat earlier. We can repost that.
Yeah, so that's Sam Cohen's got a link to it. He's got an affiliate on the product. That's no secret. Yep. So click on that if you'd like. You can support Sam. You can support me. You can support yourself by learning about pods and selling a whole lot more.
Cool. All right. Well,
one thing I should mention about that, the book is $57, but if you sell 8 shirts on Merch by Amazon at $19.99, the royalties you get from 8 shirts pays for the book. That's how much money you make on Merch by Amazon. It's good. And there's other pods in the book. Like there's pods like Sunfrog. They pay you 40% commission right off the bat. That's higher than Merch by Amazon. Plus a 5% if you made the shirt. So you get 45% commission.
Wow.
That's high commission. And there's other platforms. Like earlier this week, we did a platform, FanPrint. They're currently paying 70% commission. 70.
For what? The book?
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted it in the chat, and then it's going to go out in the newsletter.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I mean, absolutely check it out, guys. Even if you don't buy the book, just click on the link, and then you can actually see a description of what's in it, and that might give you some help as well. Like, there's more than 35 platforms. There's bonus files that come with it. There's how to make designs, how to outsource your business. There's a whole bunch of more. I actually put in the description of the book what's in it because people want to know what's in it. So even if you're not thinking of getting it, it's worth checking out just to see what's there, and that could maybe help you or inspire you to make more money online as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for joining us, and hope everyone else has a great day or weekend.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on, and take care.